Test dose for personal growth. Yo, what's up? It's someone that's no one here, and welcome to today's report. Today's report is coming from Jake off of Erowid. This happened in 2011. Gender is male. The drugs used were Ibogaine. He was 26 at the time. He dosed a gram, and this was his first time using Ibogaine, and he did have drinking habits prior to this, which he used the Ibogaine for specifically. So that's all the information we got on this. This is more of a therapeutic experience, a more healing experience, or an attempt rather at a healing experience, and how it turned out, and how it's not necessarily 100% foolproof either. So without further ado, let's dive into this report. I bought some Ibogaine TA, total extract, about 2 to 3 weeks ago and got it in the mail yesterday. My total ingestion amount, according to the provider, should have been 1 gram hydrochloride followed up with 2.4 grams TA. I only went with 1 gram TA for cost reasons, and more than a gram just seems like way too much. My reason for taking the drug was to get rid of my social anxiety and fears. I drink to relax in social situations and would rather not have to. I just thought doing the drug would help uproot the cause of my anxiety and get rid of it. I knew the risk of death, so I just tried rationalizing it as if life and death doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Plus, I was trying not to be paranoid during the event. Also, I didn't have a sitter. A few times I panicked, but it only lasted a few seconds each time. If I started to panic, I would do the Sedona method, a method of letting feelings go, and just allow whatever I was afraid of to happen. I took it with yogurt, and man, that shit was nasty. I ate it and got under the covers. It took about 15 to 30 minutes to kick in. First, I heard a low buzzing in my ears. It sounded like 2 or 3 dragonflies or model airplanes were circling my head. My imagination was going nuts. I was talking to myself like, "It's cool, calm down, it's alright," and it seemed like another person was saying it rather than me. I kept thinking, "Oh no, I'm tripping, this is probably not good." My imagination was pretty vivid, but my thoughts were fast and there wasn't much story to what was going on in my head. I saw designs if I really looked when my eyes were closed. I'd start to see something really cool, but then I would lose it. I saw different people, but there wasn't really any interaction. I saw a lot of black people, and at one point I said to myself, "What's with all these black people?" And a black girl who I didn't notice before heard me and ran off giggling to tell her friend. I've read other trips of people seeing Africans, so maybe that's why I did too. I'd say for about an hour I had some pretty cool things to look at, but after that it was more of a body high, not a very fun high though, and I maybe had a more vivid imagination. After the first few hours I was exhausted and the trip was irritable. I kept looking at the clock wondering, is it over yet? Luckily, I didn't throw up, but I had to get up like 3 times to pee when I was the most inebriated. That was not fun. Also, whenever I laid down or switched positions, I had to cuddle a pillow. It actually felt like cuddling with someone though, and it really comforted me. This morning was horrible. I just felt dirty and sick. As of right now, I've got about 3 hours before I pass the 24-hour mark of taking the drug, and I'm finally starting to feel normal. My head is still dizzy, and I finally stopped hearing the buzzing about an hour ago. There was no way I'd want to do the full dose. I've read before that it can be 10 to 36 hours. I thought, 24, 36 hours? For some reason, I just didn't think that was very long, or I thought it would go quick, or at least be really fun and worth it. But no, it's so fucking long to do nothing. And the entire day, I've been trying to get my head back on straight and sober up. Also, nothing groundbreaking came to me during the trip. I thought of dead family members and felt sad about it. I think maybe my subconscious did a small defrag. I know this wasn't the full dose, so maybe that's why nothing major was revealed to me. I'd say the trip was a sad and slightly paranoid one. All in all, I cannot wait until I feel better and probably won't ever do this again. I don't feel cleansed or detoxed. I feel like I'm at home sick. Maybe it will get better in a few hours. I wrote that 2 weeks ago. The next day I felt so much better. I didn't realize it at the time, but I still pretty much had the drug working in my system. For the next week, I was feeling really good and confident. Some of my anxiety and irrational fears had gone away and I felt more at peace. I ended up drinking 2 times since taking the drug. I'm not beating myself up for drinking, but the hangovers have been really depressing and make me want to change my lifestyle. Hangovers are not fun, and I can see myself giving up drinking in the near future. Overall, I'm glad I took it, and there has been a small change in me, but nothing major. I'm still anxious about some things. If I take the full dose, I'm definitely doing it with a sitter, and it won't be for a while. There's a lot to say about Ibogaine. It is mysteriously wonderful to say the least. To say Ibogaine is a psychedelic alone is somewhat not true. Yes, the experience itself is mainly that of a traditional psychedelic, but the way it acts on your brain and body, it has properties of dissociative and opiate-like traits, among other things. And unlike shrooms or acid, an overdose could be fatal by causing heart problems. The experience itself is considered by many to be more dark and introspective of one's life, and it isn't really done for recreational purposes. But what it has shown to be helpful for is as an addiction treatment. A wide range too, as we just saw from Jake and his alcohol problems, all the way to heroin or even something like nicotine. And I'd say you can compare this experience to that of ayahuasca. It's a healing process, I'd say a more risky, rougher one, that's specifically made for addiction. And we do have a trip to compare this to. We have one more Ibogaine report saved from addiction, and compared to that, Jake's trip was more on the pessimistic end, without really anything shining through, while compared to Light of Iboga's trip, he took 200 milligrams less, and he had this out-of-body experience and this very comprehensible healing process that he hallucinated. But body weight is a key factor here though that neither of them did include. Body weight is very important to take into consideration when you actually dose. Though the experience afterwards did seem to leave more both motivated in life, understand that Ibogaine isn't a 100% guarantee when it comes to healing from your addiction. The rate's even lower when you're around temptations. Another similarity I did want to point out, though I really don't have any explanation for or really much context on, other than Ibogaine has been used traditionally by native tribes before, but what was in common was that they both saw black people. And with Jake, it was a little more broad, but with Light of Iboga, he actually saw this black guy as the spirit of Ibogaine, and he was actually able to communicate with this spirit and have him, or ask him, can you cure my addiction? So I don't know exactly what role black people play in this experience, but it seems like there's some type of roots within it, maybe within our minds possibly. Just an idea though. It's something that we could definitely look further into. But I do think it's important to note that Ibogaine did leave them with more positive outlooks on life. For some people, it's recommended they need multiple experiences, but we also have to note that neither one of these guys did take the full dose. But due to the risk and length Ibogaine has, sometimes, as Jake said, up to 36 hours of tripping, it's probably wise to look to other psychedelics first in attempts for healing. LSD or mushrooms may easily hold the power needed to motivate one out of addiction or simply change your lifestyle habits for the better. There may be some exceptions to this though. If you have an opiate addiction and fear withdrawals, Ibogaine could completely eliminate that for you. But to me, Ibogaine, one of the most interesting substances on this planet. I haven't tried it myself, but the things I hear of it, it really does just sound completely amazing. And I do believe this will be an effective procedure in the future for helping aid in addiction treatment.